Okay, hello. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever it is you are joining us from. Thank you for joining us on Living Health TV. My name is Gbenga Adebayo, and over the next few minutes, a couple of minutes, we're going to be taking a look at tips to help you to form new habits, great new habits you need to form this year, and how you can go about it. So, thank you for joining us. If this is your very first time of joining us on the show, please go right ahead and subscribe if you have not subscribed to this channel. And please share this, like this video, drop a comment in the comment box. Let's know where you are joining us from. And please share this video. Your comments, your likes, your subscription will go a long way to encourage us and to continue to do this, knowing that we are making a difference. Thank you so much for joining us. Once again, my name is Gbenga Adebayo. I'm a public health physician, amongst other things that I do. Okay, so today we want to take a look at habits, the science of habit, and what you can do to form new habits in this new year. Every new year, every time the new year, the new month, the new season comes, especially at the beginning of the year, people make all sorts of resolutions. I believe you made some resolutions. I also did some thinking. I said, okay, this year I want to try some new things. But the funny thing about it is that for most people, or the vast majority of people, by the time we are leaving Q1, the first quarter of the year, by April, the vast majority of those resolutions are in the rearview mirror, and they are right back to where they used to be. But my hope is that this year will be different for you. I want us to work together. I hope it will also be different from me. That come December 31st, 2022, as we go into 2023, I will be able to look back and see I've formed new habits, and I've broken some habits that are not beneficial for me. I want to form new habits this year. And so, in the drive to do this, I've had to go and study and ask myself, what causes new habits? How do you form new habits? What's the science behind habit formation? What can you do? And so, I want to share that with us today. And looking back to my life and the habits I have, and the tally. So, we want to take a look at habits, how we can form new habits, and how we can break old ones, old bad ones, or old ones we don't want, and then form new ones. So if you are joining us, wherever you're joining us from, again, welcome. I'd like you to please go to the right to the comment box and tell us habits that you think are good that people should form, and habits that you think are bad that people should stop. I'm not saying you now, I'm just talking generically. So we can pin that question: what are the habits, examples of bad habits that you think people should break, and examples of good habits that you think people should form in 2022 and beyond? Let's put that in the comment and pin it. So as you come in, just go ahead and let us start to have examples of habits. See, what are habits? So let's take them from the ground up. What are habits? Habits are automatic, habitual things that we do, no? Automatic, repetitive actions that we do. And the funny thing about life is that we often don't choose our future. We cannot say, I want to. We can, we should, but the way it happens is that you form habits, and then habits, the net effect of your habits determine your future. You form the things that you choose, the things that you do, and then what you do consistently on a daily basis, that forms the basis of your future. That's what becomes your future. So if somebody sleeps consistently 20 hours every day and eats, sleeps, and you do that all your life, and you say, oh, I don't even know what tomorrow is going to be like. I can tell you what tomorrow is going to be like. uh, You're going to be broke. You're going to be a broke fat guy for fat woman. You're going to be big because all you're doing is that habit determines your future. So habits are the things that we do perpetually without thinking automatically. And the way the brain is structured, that it's something, that's how we are made, that's how we are wired. Our brain looks to form habits. The vast majority of the things that we do daily, like 40% of what we do every day, research shows us, are things that we do by habit. When you sleep, is a product of habit. When you wake up, is a product of habit. Which side of the bed you sleep on and you wake up on, they are products of habit. What you do as soon as you wake up, ah, by routine, a lot of people just find their slippers. They know where their slippers is. You know, and you go and wee wee. You don't need to think about where the water you want to, if you flush. I hope you flush. You just know, you just do it because the brain learns to conserve energy. So once something is something that you do repetitively, you do constantly, you do often, and that thing is tied to a reward, your brain files it and makes it unconscious. Walking is a habit. We do it unconscious. If you start to have to walk with conscious effort, that means there's a problem. For driving, people that drive, driving is a habit. The habit that you learn the skill, then after you have done it for a while, you just it's just something you just do without thinking. What that does is that the things that we do habitually frees up our brain to do other things. Frees up that's the reason why we form habits, so that we can do other things with our conscious mind. For I believe it will happen to you before that you said, okay, I want to drive. You drive. I want to drive from here to this place, and there'll be gaps in your driving that you cannot remember what happened, but you were just driving. You managed the road with other road users, but it was in something that you did consciously because it's a habit. Riding a bicycle is a habit, and the good thing and what good and bad thing about habit is that the brain never forgets habits. Now, so what's the science behind, what's the psychology behind habits and habit formations? Number one is that habits have a cycle. There's something that is called the habit cycle. The first part of the habit cycle is what is called a cue. So your brain picks up a cue, it sees something. So that cue could be boredom, it could be a time, it could be a feeling, it could be someone. There are cues. So once you have a cue, it leads to a craving. You just have a desire for something. So it could be a stressful situation. Yeah. So something happens, you are stressed. So the cue, yeah, the cue leads to a craving. You just want something. Some people, when they are angry, somebody upsets them, they crave some particular foods. They just want that particular food. So what happens is the craving leads to a reaction, leads to a behavior, leads to an action. And that action leads to the release of something in the brain, a chemical in the brain, a neurotransmitter in the brain called dopamine. That's the reward hormone. One of the rewards hormone. We have a few others, but it is the chief reward hormone that we have in the brain, and that's dopamine. So your brain wants that reward. So once there is the cue, once you have that cue and you have done that behavior, and that behavior has led to the release of dopamine in the brain, once that cue comes, there's a craving, it leads to an action. Okay, bad habit, lateness. Lateness, okay? Lateness is, so once you have a deadline, so let's try to make that, thank you, Timmy Tokwe, for that. So why do some people make it a habit of coming late for events? So it's planning. So once they have a deadline, something is happened, there's a cue, the cue that, oh, something is happening. Their brain may pick up something that I need to do other things. What are the things that they have to do? And they lose consciousness of time, and then they get late for that because you need to plan. You need to. So how do you now change a bad habit? We'll get right to that, because you cannot, once there's a cue, what you can do is to change that habit, is to replace the action with something else, so that you can still get the reward. So it's a cue, craving, action, reward. Cue, action, reward. Cue, action, reward. So if you do something long enough and you get pleasure from that thing, the more you repeat it, the more that thing becomes ingrained in your brain, and the more you crave that reward, which is why it's so difficult to break bad habits. Once you associate, because habits are not formed in our conscious mind. They have the trigger and the response for an habit is in our subconscious part of our brains. So our subconscious is actually responsible for the habits that you do. So I don't know what you do. Some people, what they are, the response that they give to something that is an explosive anger, and then they get the pleasure of people being afraid, or they get the pleasure because that anger in itself releases hormones in your brain and releases dopamine in your brain, so you get some gratification. Although with your, and then your conscious mind may now be very upset with itself, that why did I do this? Why? How come I am doing this? It is the science of cue, craving, response, and reward. That reward is divorced from your conscious mind. So if we want to break bad habits, we will need to learn to recognize the cues, right? Change the actions, but still obtain a reward. And then we repeat and repeat and repeat, and then we form new connections. So that's why it is said that if you want something to become an habit, you need to do it repeatedly for 30 days. You need to do it repeatedly, 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 so that your brain can associate a particular cue with a particular action and a certain reward. A certain reward. Yes, yes. Julian, a temper is a reaction to a certain cue. So somebody annoys you, right? So you see a cue. The cue there is something that displeases you. Somebody says something. Somebody does something. Against your better judgment, you just explode. Ah! And then you get the reward of the reaction that, yes, I've exploded, but you now catch up. When your conscious mind now catches up, so wow, I didn't want to do this. I have said the things I don't want to say. I know words they say like eggs. Once you break it, you cannot put it back together. And there are a lot of other things that people do as a habit. And so a lot of these things, you may not even be aware that you have some of these habits. For instance, some people before they talk, before they say anything, they may lick their lips. Or they might, before they lie. So because every time you lie, you're unless you're a practiced liar, yeah, your body, your conscious mind reacts against the lie. So there are things that there are signs that there are things that people do. Once there's a cue, they pick it up and they do it. So if we know the story in the Bible of people that have bad habits, or any Bible, any book, because of my my religious disposition, I'm inclined to talk about the Bible. But the people, they are caught in a negative loop and continue to do the wrong things. And you wonder, is this guy blind? Can't he see? It's a habit. Why didn't Samson run away from Delilah? How come? Somebody said it's a loop. It's a loop, a bad loop, a negative loop. So I don't know what your negative loop is. Is it alcohol? Is it cigarette? Is it an addictive relationship, a bad relationship? You know you should not be with this person, but you are just drawn to that person. It's a cue. You need to recognize the cue. Some people it's loneliness, it's boredom, or is it phone scrolling, right? So you get to work or you get on your bed, you just think, oh, there's nothing to do. your brain wants, and then the way the social media and our phones are designed, they've even designed it. What do you think notifications are? That boom, 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 they are cues. They are cues programming you to go check your phone and get that dopamine hit to continue to the social media, phones, apps. A good app is designed to give you a hit. So you get a like. Wow, I have 4 likes. Just like this show, for instance, now, as we are doing this, we as we are programming, doing it, we want to get likes. So we want people to get addicted to our show. We want it to be a positive. But I think our show, coming to our show, is a positive habit. Why? Because we are trying to educate you, give you knowledge, give you instructions that we think will be helpful in living a healthier, longer, more productive life. So we hope that you can make Fridays 3 p.m. part of your positive habit. So I hope the people that are following us are learning something, because we have some consistent viewers, and we would like you to please share. This may be a good time to share this on your WhatsApp status, on your, get a link, grab the link to this. We're talking about habit. Share it on your Facebook, share it on Twitter, share it on your WhatsApp status, and just invite someone. I'm learning something important. If you're learning something good here, please go ahead and share it. Thank you so much as you do so. So habits, conscious, unconscious. Some people, it's body movements, tics. When they can be shaking, restless leg movement. So those are all. Once there's a cue, there is a craving. Thank you. There is an action, a response, and then that reward. So once that reward is there and your brain sees this as a reward, as dopamine is released, you get to 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 reinforce that loop, reinforce it. And the more you do it, the more you do it, the more you do, the more the loop is reinforced, and the more. So can we have examples of good habits? So what are examples of good habits that you think would be nice for people to have this year? I think some good habits may be, for instance, to read books. To read books. Unless you, there was a time for me, reading was second nature. It was a habit I was really used to. But now it's one of the habits I want to consciously cultivate this year, because other habits are displaced. Because you don't replace, you don't forget habits. The easiest way to change an habit is to replace it. To replace a certain cue with something else. Why was I reading books? In fact, I used to give up my food while in secondary school for a book. So you say to someone, "Oh, okay, I'll give you my lunch and my dinner, so that I can quickly read this book before you." What was the cue for reading books? Was was boredom for me. Was desire for knowledge. Was like, what else can I do? Okay, I need to do something. And then I was obtaining so much. A good book for me then 10 times better than any movie, because I can picture it in my head. I can draw the canvas, understand it, read all kinds of. Once this was a print, I would read it. It was boredom. I found it more interesting than talking to people. Yeah, I used to gist with people than whatever. So just a good book. Lose myself in books. In fact, then why did I change? Why did I break that habit and start to replace with something else? Was I read so much that I used to have tics on my neck. My neck used to have involuntary, because I was in a position I would just abdulge, I would not talk, and I would put my neck under strain and read and read and read and read. So I replaced it with something, and then of course phones have happened to us now. So everybody's just scrolling up and down, scrolling up and down. Reading book, I think, is a good habit, because somebody says to pray. Yes, if you're a religious person, praying is a positive habit to have. Great gratitude is a positive habit to cultivate. Don't you think so? A lot of people are ever looking forward and never enjoying where they are, never grateful, ever ungrateful for what is happening, always seeing fault. So you can teach yourself that whenever I have a friend, she was the one that taught me this many years ago. Whenever she's in this, and rather than curse and say something, she just say, okay, I'll just say, thank you. I'm grateful. Wow. There are many reasons why it could be worse. That's my attitude right now. So once something happens, instinctively, and I'm displeased with something, I just look for 10 or 2, 3, 4 more ways why it could be worse. I said, well, it could be worse than this. Okay, let's move on. It's a habit I picked up by learning that once there's a cue that I'm displeased with something, I just say to myself, it could be worse than this. So I move on. It could be worse. It could be worse. But it's also good to also look back. So I need to balance it out. I guess I need to balance that out. But what we're saying is positive habits, gratitude, a grateful act is a positive habit to have, to write. Yeah, could be a habit. Journaling could be a habit, a positive habit to have. And these things will help you to also inculcate and build new habit. Exercising is a good habit to have this year. Yeah. Somebody, yeah. So on Health Express, Health Express is our online community to help ourselves to be more effective, to live healthier lives. And so in the month of February, we are going to be opening ourselves to build new habits of exercising and staying fit, avoiding some food, because some people, it's also a cue that you're hungry, you feel hunger, food is set before you, is a cue to add a soda. Or a certain time of the day is a cue to get on alcohol. Once some friends call you, say, feel, I think I need to drink, or something happens, somebody annoys you, somebody does this, there's pressure at work, I think this deserves 2 or 3 bottles. So those are cues. We'll be opening ourselves to live healthier lives. So join us. t.me/Health Express is our channel, our online community on Telegram. We'll be there this year and helping ourselves to be better, Join us. Weight management challenge, Health Express challenge for the month of February is to stay fit, to get healthier, exercising, walking. That was a cue I used to have before. I used to walk a lot. Once something, and I think when I'm walking, so it's now a little bit more difficult in the urban area, but I think it's good. I still do it. Just get up and walk. So a pressure when I'm just thinking, oh, this thing is pressuring me. Bro, my next instinct is to go and walk, and I take a walk around, and I think that's a healthy habit that you can build. So cue and response. So how do we build new habits? Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. So what we said, bad habits, said good habits. It's possible that you have some of the bad habits. No, you are in a cycle. You may even be addicted to something, because addiction, especially if you are addicted to substances, to drugs, to foods, addicted to some toxic relationships, right? So, how do you break the cycle of addiction? You need to recognize cues. Know that cues. So that starts also now with reflection. You need to be truthful with yourself. You need to get to a place that you are truthful with yourself. You need to reflect and say to yourself, what are the negative habits that I have in my life that I think it's high time that I replaced them? Huh? So you need to think about it. I've decided, for instance, now that, okay, I think my screen time on my device is a little too much. It's time to cut it down. So that's a goal for me. It's time to cut it down, right? So you need to have, and that will come with what? Reflection. So thinking. So breaking a bad habit, stopping a bad habit starts with reflection. You need to come to realize that, okay, I have this problem. I have this issue. This is an issue for me, right? Is it snacking on a particular thing. So you now need to ask yourself, because all these things are tied to cues. What is the cue that makes me to go and start to snack? What is the cue that triggers me and makes me defensive? Because some people that they have a defensive. So when somebody criticizes what you do, they just go on the attack. Oh no, what do you mean? So you need to, you will not recognize that people may know it about you, but you may be blind to it, right? We have blind spot. We have things that I love the psychology tool called Johari window. It has several windows, 4 windows, but one of those windows are things that others see about you, but you don't see about yourself. Yeah, that's your blind spot. What you don't know, what you don't recognize about yourself. So reflection and being open to criticism, asking people, or just listening, or people have been complaining about something about just say it's not true, Joy, it's not true, Joy. I'm not giving to anger. Yeah, I'm not. I don't get angry. Why are you people always saying? If people are always saying something that you are something, it may be wise for you to pay attention and just consider that what people are saying may be a blind spot for you. Just consider it. So reflection, deep reflection, recognizing the cues that trigger you to do those bad habits. Yeah. Now, you cannot, once something has been programmed in the brain, we don't forget it. Once a habit loop has been put in the brain, we usually don't forget it. What happens is that it is replaced. We replace that loop or that action in that loop process with something else. If we could forget habits, then that would be a bad thing. We may forget how to walk, because we've done it, we practiced it, and then okay, I want to forget it. No, we don't quite forget actions. We don't. So what we can do is to replace that action with something else. So you will need to sit down and ask yourself, this reaction to this particular cue that gives this certain craving, what do I replace it with? So if you have the cue of boredom, and what happens to you is that you scroll on your phone, or you want to watch a movie, or you want to just go and do something that you think is negative, you want to go to the beer parlor, or you want to do something that you think now is affecting your productivity and your time. So what you need to do is to recognize that cue, decide, what do I want to make the action whenever I when this cue, and then you do some other steps to reprogram your brain. So you visualize yourself doing that thing. You speak it out. You affirm it. You say it. You say, okay, anytime I'm bored, what I'm going to do, and I rather than reach for my phone, is I'm going to read a book, or I'm going to call a friend. But I think that is can be calling people everything. But just decide on the action that you want to do. Say it, repeat it, write it down, speak it aloud, and then do what? Do it. Do it, and pay attention to the pleasure that you get in it. Because remember that your brain does this thing, especially does it unconsciously, because your brain has come to associate that action, that reaction to that cue with pleasure. So when you consciously respond to a particular cue and dwell on the pressure, on the pleasure, you are telling your brain, this thing is nice, this thing is pleasant, I enjoy this thing. This thing is great. And so every time, it could be a particular time. It could be, so, okay, every time it's 10 p.m., 10 p.m. becomes a cue. I am going to do this. And I enjoy it. This is nice. This is awesome. This is beautiful. I just really enjoyed this. I enjoyed it. You're praying and you repeat it. You repeat it. You repeat it, but surely that thing is going to be a habit. It is going to become a habit. So, reflection, with reflection, consciously choosing and recognizing the cues that you have, doing what you want, saying it, and then doing it and repeating it will help you to replace bad habits and form new habits. Form new habits. Another thing that I would do that will help you is to do what we call a cue design. I've mentioned it a little bit, but now I want to talk about it a little bit more. Is to create the environment that promotes the habit that you want to form. Create the habit that you want to form. So, for instance, if you want to stop smoking, it may be wise to remove ashtrays and uh, lighters from your environment, because those are cues, those are subtle cues also that say to yourself, get to smoke. If you want to start to write, you want to develop your ability to write, it may be a good thing to put pen and paper by your bedside. Surround yourself, create an environment that promotes and serves as cues for the habits that you want to form. So you want to, and if your phone is a problem, there are apps out there that can help you, even Android now, with the Android upgrades and stuff like that, that help you to limit your screen time. You can say, okay, I want just 45 minutes of screen time and I want to concentrate on my work. There are apps that help you, for instance, productivity apps that says to you, okay, your alarm clock, and there's even an app that helps you that every time you plant a tree, so they gamified it, and games, not dopamine it, they have gamified focus. And so you trick your brain, you make your brain to be pleased when you focus on a task. And then start small. Start small. Don't, if you've been having problems, okay, somebody says she want to pray. If you're having problems praying, and you've been praying just 5 minutes every day, don't suddenly go from 5 to 20 to 2 hours. You are setting yourself up, probably setting yourself up for a fall. So start small, go little by little, and build on it. You are a order. Some people have the habit of ordering. They order things. They just order everything. They keep. It may be useful. It may be useful, and then your house becomes a junkyard. So start small and start to clean up your house. Come up with the criteria and say, I'm not keeping this. Anything that is more than 5 years old, you have clothes in your wardrobe that you have not worn. I say to people, anything I've not worn in 1 year doesn't belong to me. If I have not worn it in a year, some people will say to me, no, 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 you don't understand. Some things are for special occasions. And that special occasion has not happened in a year, it not happened in 2 years. Well, that thing, I don't think that thing belongs to me. So I give it out. Let it go. Just give it out. Right? So start small. You want to clean up, your house is a mess. Don't be discouraged by your house being a mess. Start with your room. Start with your bed. Start with your wardrobe and enjoy the pleasure that comes with cleaning your wardrobe. And say to yourself, tomorrow I'm going to clean the whole bedroom. Okay, next tomorrow, I'm cleaning the second room. Next tomorrow, and then after you've done it, enjoy it. Let your brain associate. There are some people that are habitual, they must clean. Why? The brain associates. They have OCD, they have an obsession. It's still this way of training repetition. So repeat it. So, what have we said? Cues, cravings, response, and reward. If we can hack it, replace that response with and associate that cue with that response and repeat it often enough, we will form a habit. We will form a habit. Okay, so I'll be happy to take questions now. If there are questions, please put your questions, ask your questions in the comment box right there, and then we will answer your questions. If there are questions, please go ahead and ask your questions. We'll be happy to answer them. Form new habits this year. Create awesome habits. Our habits decide and determine our future. What you do persistently every day. So form new habits. Form new habits. I'm trying to form new habits also to make me more productive at work, putting particular times, particular days for setting, and then implementing the same things that I've taught us today, that we have shared today, to form new habits and break old ones. All right. So questions. Okay. In the absence of any other question, we'll wrap up today. Thank you for watching us. Remember, join us on Health Express, t.me/Health Express, as we walk all through February to build positive health habits and break negative ones that affect our weight. Water, we're going to drink water, cut down on soda, with the cues, positive cues, and the things that we have learned. So if there are no questions, we'll wrap up today and continue on. So we'll just join us on t.me/Health Express. If you have not joined us, please just click on that link on Telegram and join us. t.me/Health Express. Until we come again next week, Friday. Next week, Friday, we're going to be taking a look at assertiveness. The power of assertiveness is going to be powerful. It's going to be powerful. So invite a friend. Until then, please stay healthy, stay well. Thank you. God bless you.